Banks. Secretary Treasurer G. Wade Wooten.
Present.
Board Member Charles Brown. Board Member Edgar Chase IV.
Present.
Board Member Andronika Morris. Board Member Hunter Thomas.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Okay, having a quorum, we can go to address the old business. Do we have any old business to address?
Not today.
Let's move on to any public comments.
No public comments at this time.
Move to action item 5, which is new business approval of the August 18th, 2020 board meeting minutes. I was not present at that meeting, so I don't know if Mr. Chase or Mr. Hunter or Mr. Wooten were there, and they can review it and give the approval on that.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition. The meeting, the minutes for the August 18, 2020 board meeting are approved. We move on to number 5 on the new business action item B, fiscal year 2019 financial audit. We need a status update.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. This is Byron. I'll provide that.
Good afternoon.
So the audit is it's still ongoing, and we're getting very, very close to completion. I did expect the draft a few weeks ago, but there were some entry adjustments and some additional due diligence that were needed to just ensure everything was accurate and funds were balanced, and we have everything we need for the legislative auditor's requirements as well. So as you can imagine, just pulling all of this together in a timely manner with all those moving parts and the additional challenges of working in this remote environment has kind of delayed it a little bit. But despite those delays, we're still expecting to be able to meet the September 30th deadline and certainly forward along a draft before the final is actually released to the public. One thing I want to note is in our finance committee meeting, Mr. Wooten brought up the question of was I aware of any findings at this point? I am not at this point. Probably won't until we get the draft. I did mention that we did have a lot of adjustments throughout the audit period, and sometimes that result in the findings. So if there are any, that could possibly be one, but I don't see any other ones outside of that at this point. But I'll definitely keep the board informed of any news or insight before then. Any questions, comments?
Hearing no comments or questions, we'll move on to action item 6, the Finance and Investments Committee report.
All right, so this particular section I will cover as well. I'll provide a market update, and then I'll move on to the financial status report, which will cover our year-to-date expenses up to July. As it relates to the market, we've moved into the fall season kind of toward the end of the year. There's still a lot of market uncertainties that remain. And there's quite a few things that our investors are looking at right now. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of news in the market. So some of those items, one is we've got the election coming up. There's uncertainty with that. And we typically see a lot of volatility in normal years. And so this year we'll see heightened volatility and uncertainty with the uncertainty of the election as well, and everything around that. Something else that investors are looking at closely are the negotiations on the coronavirus relief bill, which continues to fail. And investors are kind of becoming increasingly impatient with the lack of process. And, the market sentiment is that the markets could turn worse if a deal is not done soon. So they're keyed in on that. And then we recently had the passing of the Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg. And so you have that replacement process and nomination process, which also adds to the volatility and will possibly overshadow the efforts needed to pass the additional stimulus bill. And then finally, the Federal Reserve just met for their September meeting, and they came out and said that they expect interest rates to be near zero for a few years now, probably 3 years leading into 2023, or until the job market reaches its full employment potential. So I think it wasn't too surprising of the idea of keeping rates low, but going out 3 years just kind of shows that they probably see the unemployment situation lasting for quite a while. But ideally, the hope is that they extend this period to provide some cheap money and kind of help fuel demand and kind of help fuel prices. On a housing market side, there are bright spots. Housing starts, existing home sales, home builder sentiment. These all have beaten expectations over the past couple of months. And that story has actually been the same for the local housing market, which has been remained relatively firm over the past few months, considering. Overall, rates in the fixed income market continue to be low. Mortgage rates continue to hit record lows, fueling purchase demands and continuing that solid demand for refinancings. On a local front, we're starting to, there's some jobs data coming in, and the most recent job data that we have is as of July, which shows the unemployment rate at 11.9, which is down slightly from June, which is 12.8, but it's still up considerably from prior year, 5.1. One other data point is the actual jobs we saw drop in July of 1,900 jobs from the prior month. And so that decrease continues and is about 11% lower than the same time last year. So overall, you can see there's a lot of things on the table and a lot of things that's making investors nervous, but I think the spotlight remains on Congress coming up with the new stimulus package to quickly avoid further economic damage. And so we're continuing to keep our ears to the ground and map out our overall strategy and direction of the organization and hopefully mitigate any foreseeable risk. Any questions or comments on the market update? All right, well, I'll move along to the financial status report. So looking at page 1, this provides a look at the overall year-to-date actual expenses to the year-to-date budget. You'll see the revenues came in at 79,000 to a budget of 122,000. On the expense side, expenses were 830,000 to a year-to-date budget of 1.1, and there's some favorability there of 274,000. The next page is the revenue analysis, which just shows the revenue components. That shortfall of the 43,000 to budget is driven by the multifamily program income line. Page 3 is the expense analysis, which looks into the individual expense components, which are all relatively favorable. And the drivers there is the salaries and benefits line, consultant and professional services, and marketing and advertising expenses. Next, we have our Pathways Fund, which there's really no changes as it relates to the revenue and expenses from the prior month, relatively small. We did sell our last home in that portfolio recently. It's not reflected here, but what we did over the course, I know there's been quite a few properties in that portfolio, and it was a large undertaking on the programs team side. And so we finally at that point of selling that last property there.
Congratulations.
Then the
on
next
that.
page, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so the next page provides a look at the just the revenues and the expenses on a monthly basis. You'll see the revenues and expenses are trending within the average. There's not a lot of volatility within the expenses. Next page is our balance sheet comparison for operating fund. This has remained pretty consistent year over year, pretty stable given the minimal activity. So nothing much to report there. And then finally, the summary of cash and cash equivalents. We're at 11.1 year to date as of July, which is down slightly from the prior month of 11.2, which is driven by our net expenses of roughly 110,000 for the month of July. Any questions or comments on the financial status report? All right, that concludes my report.
All right, we're going to move on to action item 7, which is, I guess, the most important part of the meeting today. Programs Committee report on the approval of action item 7B, which is final approval of the pilot for 4948 Sheffman Tour Apartments.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. Our COO, Ms. Brown, is going to provide more information about these approvals. But before she does, I'd like to say that this is a big step for the city. This is a big step for the agency. The developers that are on the line today, we've been working with them for many months at this point, and these developers have they've worked for a long time on their projects to get them ready for this stage. So we happen to get our program ready in time enough to support these projects. And the CEA that we sign, or the CEAs that we sign with the City of New Orleans and the Louisiana Housing Corporation have empowered us to offer these types of opportunities to the community. And through the pilot program, we'll be able to provide tax relief to developers that are addressing affordability. We'll also be able to provide tax exempt financing and some other public financing tools that we have in mind for future programming. The expansion of this developer program, as well as some other programs that haven't been released yet. So I'm trying to illustrate to you that this is a first step, a big step, but a first step for us towards sustainability as a city and as an agency. We have not closed any projects outside of stimulus programs in maybe a few instances since Katrina. So it's been very difficult and tricky in order to get some consistent programming off the ground since Katrina. And this program for developers represents a really big lift for us, but it also represents a chance for us to provide 40 years of impact to the city of New Orleans. So I just want to thank the board for supporting the staff and getting to this point, for setting a very large vision so that we can support the developers and the many other developers that we'll have online that are trying to make a positive community impact. This is precisely what we talked about a few years ago when we began this process. So we're here, and these two contracts today are they're both 40-year requests, and that's part of the CEA that we have with the city, is that we're able to offer 40-year pilots. And that's something new for New Orleans. It's done in other parts of the country. Some of our counterpart finance authorities, they offer 40-year pilots along with bonds. So we've received advice from other agencies on this program. We studied other models to make sure that we're doing the right thing for New Orleans. We've gone back and forth with the developers you have on the line and tried to hear what their concerns are and the challenges behind them bringing these projects to life. So we want to be supportive and additive to the process. So we tried to come up with something as fair as possible. And that's what you're going to be presented with today. But I just wanted to spend some time highlighting the fact that this is a a big milestone for the agency. And, it's not just us, but the community at large. So thank you.
So are they going to, I guess, explain their stuff to us, or what are we going to do? How are we
Well,
going to do this now?
Ms. Brown is she's going to provide you
Okay,
with some
sorry.
information on the project, and then we'll have Ryan Bates, who's the developer of the Chef Mentor project. He'll be on, say a few words, or he already is on. He was at the program committee meeting as well. So we'll just go through that for the benefit of the board so they can hear the information again, and then we'll bring the developer on for some questions.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'll move forward. So Damon, Madam Chair, Banks, she'll comment once I finish for making a full recommendation to the board for final approval from the programs committee.
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. That's a good point, Ms. Brown. Ms. Johnson-Banks, you're on the line now. Would you like to say anything right now before we move ahead with the final approval, or do you want to introduce the approval? It's at your pleasure.
I was gonna make the motion on behalf of the programs committee. So the only thing I would add is that the programs committee has had the detail on the projects over the last 2 months. We've looked at them in depth. We've gone through any questions or concerns that the full board has had. And we feel comfortable moving forward. And we, again, applaud the staff of all of the hard work and your partners, also the developers, for the hard work that's been put into the projects. And I'll let Ms. Brown take it from there.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So start off with the development analysis for 4948 Chef Mentor Highway. This development consists of 42 affordable housing apartments. Basically, this has went through the underwriting committee. We've conducted our due diligence of the entire project. We've done a full review of the full application. It's run through the proper protocols for underwriting. We've compiled all the necessary documentation to move forward. We've prepared a development summary. And in this development summary, we'll start with the development budget. Total development cost for the developer is $13.7 million. Per unit cost is $328,000. Acquisition comes at $950,000. Hard cost is running at $8.3 million. Soft cost totaling $3.6 million. Representing the financing coming in at debt source totaling $3.3 million. Equity source totaling $10.4 million. The developer has funding commitments already in place. The construction and permanent finances is in form of Churchill state set aside and will be tax exempt loans, will be the first mortgage position throughout the development of the life cycle at 4.15%. In addition, the development will receive historic and federal tax credits, low income housing tax credit, home funds from the city of New Orleans, and project-based vouchers from Housing Authority of New Orleans. As it relates to the job creation, they will have 50 temporary jobs and 2 permanent jobs with a total dollar payroll of $75,000 yearly. As it relates to the DBE participation goal, the development partner is DBE certified and has committed to 35% DBE set aside as agreed upon by the city of New Orleans. Going into the pro forma, we talked about the development will contain 10 one-bedroom units ranging from $868 to $908 per month, 32 two-bedroom units ranging from $986 to $1,778 per month, which factors about $498,612 annually in gross rental potential. Vacancy loss is estimated at 7%. Evictions and bad debt is estimated at 1.5%. Expenses were estimated at $244,329 annually, includes a 3% inflation rate. The development has a net operating NOI of $195,101. Based on full recommendation from the committee, programs committee, underwriting committee, and we've done a full analysis, looked at the overall economic impact, feasibility, the financials. We recommend final approval of this project to move forward to issue out a pilot. This is really a development analysis. I'll let Byron Badge, our CFO, who conducted the underwriting, really speak to the financial feasibility report that's also attached here. He'll highlight a few points on that.
Thank you, Bianca. So the feasibility report ideally takes the project's income and expenses, and then we internally apply some assumptions, our own assumptions, conservative assumptions, and kind of map out the performer, project out the performer, and then look at the comfortability of the debt coverage, debt service coverage, the cash flows, and then look at possible challenges or opportunities that may exist with the properties. So I think Bianca covered most of the some of the bogey items there, but ideally, in terms of as it relates to risk from the financial feasibility report, overall market risk is low. It's well positioned within the city on a main throughway. In terms of construction, the building is a historic 8-story building. It's made out of concrete and steel. It's endured and withstood the test of many climate issues, including Katrina. The developer is experienced. As she mentioned, DBE certified, just minimal community opposition. And so, with that, the finance department recommended that this project is considered feasible and made a recommendation to the programs committee.
So, Chair Smith, just as a matter of process, so now, unless the board has questions for staff, we can ask the developer to come on and say a few words if you like, or you can just ask them a few questions. And then once that happens, we'll spend a few minutes doing that. Then you can call a vote to the board. And the programs committee is recommending approval, but for matter of process, we can kick it back to Mrs. Johnson Banks so that she can provide the program committee's final recommendation.
Gotcha.
So Elizabeth, let's bring Mr. Bates on so that the board can interface before final approval is voted upon.
Thank you, Damon. This is Ryan Bates, speaking as one half of the development team for 4948 Shuffman Tour. I just want to commend Finance New Orleans, the entire staff working with Bianca, Byron, Damon, Derek. The entire staff has been very helpful and knowledgeable about the challenges that many of the developers face in the affordable housing community. A little bit about our project. This is, as mentioned, an 8-story historic high-rise that it really commands the attention of the area. It's been vacant since Hurricane Katrina, and we really plan to do something special here. A big construction project ahead of us. As mentioned, it's about a $13.7 million job. We're looking to bring in amenities for the tenants, supportive services that focus on financial literacy, mental health, counseling, community garden at no additional expenses to the tenants. We've had incredible partners with the city of New Orleans, providing some CDBG gap funding, given the cost on this project, as well as the Housing Authority of New Orleans, who we went through their project-based voucher program. So the project has received immense support. New Orleans Redevelopment Authority, the Preservation Resource Center. So we think this is going to be a community changing event, and we really want this to be something special for 42 families that that'll be able to live here for an affordable price point. We're trying to mirror that the downtown look, given you don't see buildings of this stature in the Gentilly neighborhood. So a big project ahead of us. Every little bit helps, and the pilot helps immensely with the tight budget restrictions that we have by placing income caps on the rents that we achieve. So any questions that you guys have, either during this meeting, more than happy to answer them, as well as if there's any outreach that needs to happen outside of this. The development team is actively engaged, so just feel free to reach out directly. Thank you.
What is the cost per unit for this project?
It's turning out to be $620,079.
What is it? I'm sorry.
$620,079.
Per unit?
Mm-hmm.
If I can jump in here, this is developer Ryan again. We've gone through LHC because this project is receiving the bonds and 4% LIHTC credits. When we do a total development calculation and we back out reserves, government grants, and historic proceeds, given you got to remember that this project is federal and state historic tax credit eligible. So based on their calculation for the bonds and the LIHTC credits that we're getting, the TDC for per unit is 223,831, and we just got that resolution approved by LHC earlier this month. So you're right at 223,000 per unit based on total development costs, excluding government grants and historic proceeds from the federal and state tax credits.
So what's the actual hard money?
Hard money, we're right at 8.3 million in total construction costs. So the hard money, are you talking about the hard construction costs?
Of the deal, like actual dollars, not tax credits, not any of that, just actual dollars that are going to be
3.3 million. 3.3 million is going to be our perm debt, and we're deferring about 220,000 of a developer fee. So between the LIHTC credits, the CDBG gap funding, and the historic credits, we're looking at perm debt of around 3.3 million, which is being provided by Churchill Stateside.
I have a question. This is Member Thomas. I have a question for Mr. Bates.
Yes, sir.
I looked at the market study that we were provided, and I saw that there were some comparable properties that were placed on that study. There was about 6 of them.
Yes, sir.
So question, would the property on Chef Mentor be more similar to number 5 and 6, or more similar to 1 through 3? And I think 1 through 3 are are New Orleans East properties, and 5 and 6 are a property on Tulane and a property on Poydras.
So I don't have the market study in front of me, but I think I know what you're referencing. So it's actually a pretty good question, because even dealing with the appraiser and the market study, you know, we don't have a garden style walk-up units that some of those New Orleans East or your typical 2-story outside stairs walk-up style units. We actually have a physical building elevator. So it kind of mirrors what you're expecting on the 5 and 6, the Tulane and the Poydras that you mentioned, but you just don't have that in Gentilly. So, I mean, I get a little frustration with the market study as well, because you don't have a property that's an 8-story that looks like it should be in the CBD or warehouse, and they want to still capture New Orleans East when, you know, truthfully, we are a historic district in Gentilly Lake Pontchartrain. But when they think of comparables and land, they tend to pull from that New Orleans East market. But in terms of style, I would for sure say the Tulane and the Poydras, because you don't have the exterior walk-up units. You have one building that's servicing 8 floors, and you know, everything is within that, like a true apartment building that you'll see in the CBD warehouse district.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the quality in those CBD buildings, the Poydras and the Tulane buildings and properties, is better, correct?
Correct. And so when I started this out, I mean, I'm a local New Orleanian. My grandmother was right there in the design of Ninth Ward. I remember as a kid coming to New Orleans East from that path right by the Danziger. You know, that was our high rise. That was our, you know, downtown sky point of a tall building. And so the goal was to mirror what downtown apartments look like. I mean, my background has been in historic tax credit development, and all of these projects that have historic tax credit eligibility are in downtown New Orleans, CBD warehouse style buildings. So the goal is to create that, but then there's the challenge of, you know, the cost to create that and the rents that you're going to receive. So the goal here is to do something that's really unique for the affordable community, but that it mirrors that, but at a fraction of a cost, and still makes it nice.
Okay, so you're from New Orleans. You've seen that building back and forth, coming back and forth towards
Oh,
the east.
yeah.
So
I
you
remember
know
when that was
historically
Schwagman's there.
kind of what you're up against when trying to
Absolutely.
provide a quality experience with this building. So I'm
And-
so happy to hear that, because you have context and you understand how important it is for this to be developed properly and in a way that can send the signal to others that the East, the Gentilly area, these outskirt areas of New Orleans are going to up the standard and maintain the standard that you find in other parts of the city.
Correct. And that's been a challenge, I think, as a whole, that, the developers in those CBD warehouse districts, they aren't incentivized to have the affordability included in there. And so if I can find a historic building that gives me the structural makeup that could, provide that, I mean, I don't think that affordable communities should lack quality in those type of experience. Now, then it translates into making sure that it's managed correctly. And so Ladder and Bloom is going to be our partner there, and we've got on-site property management. So we really want this to be a unique living experience, and then, run a tight ship with making sure it's ran the right way once it's built the right way.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited
Thank
to
you,
see
man.
what y'all come up with.
I appreciate it. It's been a road, and we're finally there. So we're looking to try and commence construction before the close of this year, actually early December. So we're getting our sleeves rolled up, and we're ready to rock and roll.
I appreciate it. You have quite the job ahead, and as a lifelong resident of New Orleans East, I commend you and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Are there any other questions or comments or queries on regarding the project on Chef Mentor Highway?
Steve, is this just as with respect to the developer, or just in general?
Either.
I'd expressed to Jade earlier, Jade, do you want me to repeat it for the board regarding the signature of the lease?
Yeah. So, and I can highlight it. I actually,
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I did circulate Wade just an updated set of resolutions to the board, just reflecting the comments that you had. And it's like comments just so everyone is aware. Wade caught that we did not include the CEO as a signatory, which is important in the resolution. And so we added that no other substantive changes have been made to the resolution. And so I think just a friendly motion to make those changes whenever the appropriate time is to make the motion to approve.
Jade, would that go in the motion to approve the project?
Yeah, it could just be.
Pending the changes to the
resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, it could just be a motion to approve changes. Trustees.
Okay. Is that it? Are we ready, Mr. Chair?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm having heard all the discussion. I will move final, on behalf of the Programs Committee, final approval of pilot for 4948 Chef Mentor Apartments, recommendation of approval to the full board with the minor changes to the resolution as stated.
All in favor of the proposed motion?
Aye.
It's possible, Damon, to get a roll call for these votes just because it is a formal
Right.
resolution. If we can get a formal.
Can you repeat that?
I was just requesting if we could have a formal roll call rather than a voice vote, just for the record. It's
Okay,
a resolution, so we should make note of.
no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Regarding the foregoing resolution for 4948 Chef Mentor Apartments LP project, pilot project, we're gonna do a roll call vote. Chairman Smith, Stephen M. Smith, Chairman, votes yay. Giselle Johnson Banks, Vice Chair.
Yes, aye.
Charles Brown is, excuse me, I'm sorry. G. Wade Wooten, Secretary Treasurer.
Yes.
Member Charles Brown is not present. Member Edgar Chase IV.
Yes.
Member Adricia Morris is not present. Member Hunter Thomas.
Aye.
Five yes votes, 2 members absent. The resolution has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Programs Committee, I move final approval of the pilot for McDonough 19 TEP Center, pending the minor changes to the resolution as stated.
And for this program, are we going to have the developers?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Slow down.
I'll withdraw my motion.
No worries. I mean, we'll table it for a second. So are we gonna, I guess we're gonna have Bianca kind of go over the numbers for us like we did with 4948?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
My apologies, Chair Smith, for giving you the wrong numbers for the last one. I was on to the next project.
No worries.
Bianca, before you start, so is this in the same packet? So the background materials on this, is it, where can I find it? I seem to be missing it.
So Elizabeth, that packet with the board resolution and the lease agreement that was sent out today?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so that information is in that packet, Wade.
So, and I guess it's identified as what?
The development analysis. So it's a development analysis, an updated financial feasibility report.
Okay.
And we've also attached a cost benefit analysis in the report as well.
Okay, thanks. I'm just trying to find it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let me know, I can resend it back out right quick. You guys.
If anybody's looking at it, is there the board packet? Can you direct me to like a page number?
Oh yeah, look, it's page 24 is one I'm
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I did the Adobe page numbers because I know each document has its own
Perfect.
page number.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, page 24, starting with the TEP Center, McDonough 19, which is located at 5909 St. Claude Avenue. This is the Leona Tate Foundation for Change and Olympic Community Development. They're partnering together to create 25 units of affordable senior housing, in addition to creating an innovative anti-racism educational and training space. The development budget for this, the total development cost for the developer is $15.5 million. Per unit cost of $620,000. Acquisition came in at $860,000. Hard costs running at $9.3 million. Soft costs totaling $5.2 million. Going on to financing, debt source totaling $6 million, and equity source totaling $9.5 million. The developer has several funding commitments already in place. The total development is financed with new market tax credits, federal and state historical tax credits, senior and bridge loans from reinvestment funds, and also Louisiana Housing Corporation and City of New Orleans grants from several other sources. As it relates to job creation, they're going to have 20 temporary jobs and 22 permanent jobs with a total dollar payroll of $750,000. Disadvantaged DBE participation goals, they're projected at 40.5%. So they've already committed to the DBE participation at projected 40.5%, which is wonderful. The pro forma going into this, the development will contain 9 studio units at $662 per month and 16 one-bedroom units at $964 per month, which factors at about $231, $612 in gross rental potential annually. The development will contain commercial space renting at $16,287 per month, bringing in an additional $195,440 in annual income. Vacancy loss is estimated at 7%. Evictions and bad debt is estimated at 1.5%. Expenses were estimated at $256,637 annually, which includes a 3% inflation rate. The development has a net operating income NOI of $162,915. We've reviewed this, we've done our due diligence through the underwriting committee, also through the programs committee, and we've done what's needed to be done. We've required all the necessary documentation to move forward. We've also verified documentation with other agencies that also have funding commitments included in this project. So we recommend, full and final approval from the board as stated by Chairwoman Banks. And also attached to this, you'll find a financial feasibility report that was prepared during the underwriting by our CFO, Byron Badger. So I'll let him touch and hit on that for just a moment, just to highlight, everything that's currently in that report.
Sure, thanks, Bianca. So I'll just kind of pull out a few items that I think you covered most of it, but some of the items just to pull out from the feasibility, just in terms of risk. Most of them are fairly low. The market, in terms of the market, is well located. In terms of construction, is similar to existing and recent projects by the same development team. The developer is highly experienced, has a strong track record of successful developments. There's low community opposition. In terms of reserves, there's reserves in place and there's enough to cover operating expenses over a 6-month period. Debt service coverage 1.28, that improves over the life cycle. Bianca pointed out the NOI, net operating income, that also improves throughout the life cycle of the project. So considering all that, the finance team deemed this financially feasible and made a recommendation to our underwriting committee for preliminary approval.
Wait, did you find the final document that we were reading from?
I did.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
How much square footage of commercial space are we going to have in this building?
Well, Mr. Smith, at this time, I think it'd be good to bring on a developer so you can, so they can provide you with some of these.
No problem.
Some of these answers. I want to say one more thing before we bring Mr. Light on, who was also on the programs committee call. But this project is unique. Number one, it's in the lower 9th Ward, which we all know needs impact, needs development. So we are paying special attention when projects are on communities that need investment more than others. So this is really important to our overall strategy and commitment to the city. But what this project also does that is unique to some of the other deals that I've seen in this state, in the city, and other places, is you have a developer partnering with a community foundation. And by partnering, I mean 50-50. As the developer explained it, and Mr. Light can explain it more when he gets on, but that is something you don't always see. And, oftentimes you'll see a community partner listed as a participant in the project, I mean, as a beneficiary in some cases, but to have the community organization participate as a developer is important because that creates wealth for a community organization. And that's going to help, toward the feasibility of this project long-term and the support of the Leona Tate Foundation. So I had an opportunity to meet Ms. Tate and I think we all know the story based on the analysis that we've been doing. We know the story and history of that building and what it means for New Orleans, what it means for the lower 9th Ward. So the fact that they're participating economically as well is extremely important. And those are the types of things that we like to see in these projects moving ahead. So with that, Elizabeth, please bring Mr. Tate on, I'm sorry, Mr. Light on so that he can interface with the board and explain the project in a little more detail.
Hello, everyone. Jonathan Light with Olympic Community Development, and thank you for the introduction. This really is a special project that being one of the stewards of is incredibly meaningful for us. Leona was hoping to join. I don't know that she was able to make it though to this. As Damon said, something that was critically important for us. Oh, hey, Leona. Well, I actually love you to open then and just give a minute for the full board's benefit of the history and now how we've gotten to this day.
Oh, wow. Thank y'all for doing this. I don't know, we tried so hard in the lower ninth ward just to get something energized at the building, but my first attempt was to put another school down here, and that was not the end result for the school board. So I knew it needed to be something educational, and every time I visited a local school in the community or in the city, no one knew of the history of that building. So that's what really sparked me to do this and to have somewhere where this education could be taught, and undoing racism classes and workshops could be taught all in one location. And hopefully we can get the school board engaged in this and to bring these students in here so that they can have this opportunity that's offered to everybody.
And so as Bianca described, there's a 3-part program happening. There's a nonprofit facility on the ground floor operated in part by the Leona Tate Foundation for Change, which will be an interpretive center around the history of school desegregation. And then in addition, as Leona just mentioned, the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond will be operating an anti-racism training center. For folks who are not familiar with People's Institute, they're a 40-year-old operating organization that's up on Carrollton currently, and they're going to be relocating their headquarters here. So the ground floor will be 100% leased to those 2 nonprofits. The upper 2 floors are the 25 units of affordable senior housing. And we've really prioritized seniors, obviously, because of people struggling still 15 years later to get back to Lower Ninth Ward, and deep affordability. So 12 of the units are 30% AMI, and 13 of the units are 60% AMI. It's, I think, entirely fitting that Finance New Orleans is a part of this. This has been a very much a public sector partnership project. We purchased the property through the school board and the housing authority. Housing authority is also providing PBVs. The city has been instrumental. They provided a $2 million loan of CDBG funds. Councilwoman has been incredibly supportive of this. The LHC is involved through a housing trust fund loan. As Damon mentioned, we also have New Markets and Historics. It's really been a community effort from both public sector, certainly down into the Lower Ninth Ward itself. And with Leona and her foundation really working at this for 10 years, we've been a part of it for just the past 4 or 5. It's really rewarding to be at this day. And so we're extremely thankful to the Finance New Orleans staff and board. It's just really been a total pleasure going through this process.
Wait, I'm coming. Thank you.
Last thing I'll just say, I'm happy to answer questions, is that our 50-50 partnership with Leona Tate's foundation is sharing economics, decision-making, and ownership. And it shouldn't be such this kind of unusual thing for a 6-year-old African-American girl who integrated the school in 1960 now as a part owner, but we know it is. And so it's incredibly powerful, and it's more than just symbolism, right? It's actual economics. I want to highlight that the 60th anniversary of school desegregation is coming up on November 14th, and you're going to be seeing and being invited to a whole host of kind of events. Unfortunately, they may have to be online, but definitely some commemorations that LTFC is planning. And I want to highlight as well our general contractor and architect. Both are Black-owned. The general contractor, CDW Services, has been totally stellar. This is not an easy building to deal with, the adaptive reuse of it. And then Manning Architects has been involved in the project for years. And so they've both been really great pieces of the development team.
And we just got approved, we're waiting on a permit to come to be the first to do the Black Lives Matter mural that'll be in the street in front of the building.
Do we have any additional questions or statements for any of our partners or anybody from the board? Hearing none, I suggest we move to a roll call vote. Does anybody object to moving to a roll call vote?
Fine by me.
Hearing no objection, we will move to approve the resolution for the pilot program.
And
I guess, go ahead.
Mr. Smith, just
Yeah.
so you know, Ms. Townsend is online and she can
Mhm.
call the roll.
Okay,
So she has a list and she can call the roll whenever you're ready.
that's fine.
Real quick, Jade, real quick, is there a similar issue with the, this resolution as the other one where we?
Yes.
Yes, there is. And Giselle, when she stated the motion, she included.
Okay, I missed it. I apologize.
Come
Yes,
on now, Wade.
for the record, no, I included it. For
I
the
know.
record, I'll restate the motion. I move final approval of the pilot from Ghana 19 TEP Center, pending the minor corrections to the resolution as stated.
I'm getting old.
We all are.
Join the club.
I think we're ready for, is there a second?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, I think we're ready for roll call vote.
We're ready for the roll call vote.
Chair Stephen Smith,
Yay.
Vice Chair Giselle Johnson Banks,
Yes.
Secretary Treasurer G. Wayton,
Yes.
Board Member Edgar Chase IV,
Yes.
Board Member Hunter Thomas.
Yes.
Hearing 5 yeses and no nos, the resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Ms. Tate and Mr. Light. We appreciate your support and we will follow up with next steps. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mhm.
So let's see. I guess we'd be moving on now to action item 8, which is the executive management report.
Yeah, I'll be brief, Mr. Smith. There's a chart provided in your packets that talks about the strategic plan. What I'd like to highlight for you is that we're moving into planning season. As you know, every October we do our board retreat. And this year it'll be a little different because we're in quarantine. And so we'll have to figure out a creative way to still deliver our retreat and all of the information that is provided during that time. So first thing we need to know is, we normally have that meeting on the third Friday of the month, or whenever our board meeting is. We usually do it on a Friday to give us time. So I still recommend that we do a Friday, but we need to hear from the board to make sure that is okay with you, that we move our October meeting from a Tuesday to a Friday to give us an opportunity to go through all the materials that we need to for the retreat.
So Damon, are we talking about the 16th, October 16th, which is the third Friday?
Yeah, if that's the third Friday.
It is.
Yes,
Okay,
that would
okay.
be it.
I'm available.
I have no objection.
Yeah, I don't have any objection.
Okay, so it won't be in person. Again, we'll follow up with you on the details of how we deliver it. We're trying to get creative with, still getting information out despite the fact that we can't do much in person. So we'll make sure you still get all the information that you would have gotten otherwise, because we know that's a really important time. And just so you know, we've been doing some research on what our partners are thinking, gathering general market data and information. So we're going to come to the table with a lot of information and a lot of feedback from our consultants who've been helping us out throughout the year, come up with, plans for scaling our programs, plan for raising capital, plans for just better delivering impact to the community. How do we measure impact? What does the community actually want to see from us? So we'll have some of that information, a lot of that information ready for you during the board retreat, and we'll set aside enough time for you to provide us with the feedback you think is important, because one of the things we're going to ask you to do over the next couple of months is to approve our long-term vision, our long-term strategy, 10-year vision. And we've been working on that particular strategy for a while now, and we feel comfortable that we've landed in a space where we're ready to commit to what is required of a 10-year investment in a long-term vision. So that'll be the theme of the retreat this year. And of course, in November, we'll provide you with a budget for 21. And in December, you'll provide final approval to that budget, And we'll also have information ready for you to feel comfortable that we're on the right track as it relates to our long-term strategic vision. So all those things will happen at the board retreat in October.
Great.
So otherwise, unless the board has any additional questions for me as it relates to operations, where we are, I can take those now, but I don't have many comments at the moment. What we've mainly been focused on are getting these projects to the finish line. We're getting everything in order so that we can present a strategy and a vision to you in October. So I think we'll have a lot to discuss and a lot of information to go through. So I'll save any additional comments because next month is going to be really important to digging into the information.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Since we missed our Alpha trip to New York, do we get a makeup trip?
NALFA has not we have not decided on the next year's plan. Essentially, there's been some online events, but as quickly as we can get back to in-person events, that's the game plan. So nothing coming from NALFA just yet, but as soon as we get word, I will let the board know.
And if there's no conference, I don't mind you just sending me out there for 3 days, if that's okay.
Okay. All right, we'll look into it.
Does that
Any other
conclude
questions?
the executive management report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's no need for executive session, is that correct?
No need for executive session.
Do we have any other business?
None.
Can we get somebody to move to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no opposition, the meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Dana.
you.
All right.
And congratulations, good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations, staff. Hi, Chair Smith.
Y'all take care.
All right, you too.
Right.
Have a good night. Good night.